In this episode of Pop Culture Weekly, it's all about Spider Noir. I speak with Nicolas Cage and Brendan Gleeson. Let's go!
Welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon from iHeartRadio. Your pop culture news, views, reviews, and celebrity interviews on all the movies, TV, music, and pop culture you crave weekly. Here's Kyle McMahon.
Nick. Hello and welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon. I, of course, am Kyle McMahon, and this is the show where sometimes your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is less friendly neighborhood and more emotionally exhausted detective smoking in an alley while jazz music plays in the background. And to be honest, I'm into it. Today's episode, degenerates, is all about Spider Noir, the brand new Prime Video series that brings one of Marvel's coolest alternate universe Spider-Verse characters into live action. And if you're a longtime comic fan, you already know people have been wanting this for years. I have. So a little history. Spider Noir first appeared back in 2009 as part of Marvel Noir, which was like a special series which reimagined classic Marvel heroes in like darker, grittier worlds inspired by pulp crime fiction and, you know, old school detective stories from the 30s and 40s. So instead of like bright colors and spandex and Avengers level spectacle, Spider Noir's world is all shadows and corruption and danger and morally ambiguous characters. Think like Spider-Man by way of old detective movies and classic film noir. This version of Spider-Man exists in an alternate timeline where New York is crawling with gangsters and crooked politicians and crime bosses rather than like giant alien invasions every other Tuesday. And visually, the character is just so dope. That trench coat, the fedora, the black mask with the white glowing eyes. The whole aesthetic of Spider Noir looks like somebody threw Spider-Man into a rain-soaked detective movie and was like, you know, good luck out there, buddy. And Spider Noir got a huge popularity boost in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, where Nicolas Cage voiced the character with this kind of like dramatic old Hollywood style seriousness that made everybody, including me, like instantly obsessed. He literally, legit, was delivering lines about Rubik's Cubes and the wind and Nazis like he was starring in the most important movie ever made, and it was completely amazing. And now we finally get a full live-action series on Prime Video with Nicolas Cage stepping into the role physically this time around. And it's like one of those projects that should exist. Like, I'm so glad it's finally here. Superhero fatigue has arguably become a real thing lately because so much of that genre, you know, has become a little bit identical. But Spider Noir has a very distinct identity. It's very stylish. It's very stylized. It's very atmospheric. It's less like, save the multiverse, everybody, and more solve the murder before, you know, the city eats itself alive from crime bosses, which is a very cool vibe. And the series, the Spider Noir series on Prime Video is so awesome. I love stylized work. You know, The Great Gatsby with Leonardo DiCaprio, 300, you know, Sin City. I love that kind of stylized thing. And Spider Noir delivers it in droves. The cast is really great. Oh, and what's cool, you can watch it in black and white, like a real, you know, noir project, or in true hue full color. Now, I watched it in black and white, which they call authentic black and white. And I really feel that this series should be watched in authentic black and white. It was filmed to be watched in black and white. You know, it was filmed as a project specifically for black and white. So like that's where it really, really shines. The true hue, full color version is there for you, if for some reason you're like, I can't watch black and white, you have that option. But take it from me, degenerates. I watched it in authentic black and white, and I think that's the way to go. But you do you, and let me know, if you feel differently. Today, we are talking to two absolute legends that star in Prime Video's Spider Noir, Nicolas Cage and Brendan Gleeson. So first up, Brendan Gleeson joins the Spider-Verse as Silvermane. And if you know Brendan Gleeson's work, whether it's in Bruges or honestly 50 other incredible performances, this man brings gravitas to everything he does. And then later, I talk with Nicolas Cage himself about becoming Spider-Man in Spider Noir live action, why the character resonates with fans, and so much more. So you ready? Let's get into it. Brendan Gleeson is one of those actors who somehow makes every project instantly more interesting the moment he appears on screen. You know him from his Oscar-nominated performance in The Banshees of Inisherin, his unforgettable role as Mad-Eye Moody in the Harry Potter films. You know I'm a huge Potterhead. His terrifying turn in 28 Days Later, and brilliant performances in films like In Bruges, Gangs of New York, and Braveheart. Brendan can be terrifying, hilarious, heartbreaking, and intimidating, depending on what the role and scene calls for. And now he is entering the Spider-Verse as Silvermane, which is like one of the iconic crime figures connected to the Spider-Man lore. We talked all about it, and here it is, my conversation with Brendan Gleeson.
Hey, Kyle, how you doing?
Good, thank you. So congrats on the series. I really love it. And, I wonder, you have played everything from hardened criminals to, deeply emotional, complex, dramatic characters. There's something really fun for me to see you, in this world, this dark noir comic book world. What drew you to Spider Noir?
Just that, the whole world of it, and the possibility to go into a kind of an earlier mode of movie making, learning what you loved from it, getting to have a go at all that stuff. And at the same time, being involved in something that was so technologically advanced that you could kind of do it and do a different perspective on it, that you could show the color version of it, and that you can have guys swinging around between buildings, and you can do all the special effects that are possible cinematically these days. So there was that. And then the writing of it was really sharp. And working with Nick Cage was a huge draw because I wanted to work with him. I just love I love everything about the way he approaches the work and all that stuff. So there were so many things, honestly, drawing me into it. And it was kind of one of those things that worked out pretty much the way I was hoping it would.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Your character is such a classic Spider-Man, character. This version obviously is much more grounded and noir inspired. How did you approach building him for this particular universe, if you will?
Well, I have to be honest with you. I didn't really refer back to the original character very much because he came as a kind of an, massive Italian mob boss type of guy, was the way he was written. And I wanted to kind of move away from that if possible. And I had a chat early on at the process before we decided whether this was a good idea or not, with Oren and Steve and the guys to say, look, I my Italian is questionable. How would you feel about, because there were a lot of Irish mob bosses around that time, that we go this guy, we have a new iteration of a new, basically, that we start from scratch almost. So I have to be honest, and I know possibly a lot of the people, the aficionados might be a bit disappointed, but I didn't feel there was any point in going back into something because he had arrived as such a different kind of a character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also the fact that noir itself really is just such a different challenge, and the fact that it was grounded and it wanted to be real in a way that was kind of very earthy. So I wanted to ground him in stuff that I could access myself. I made him into a Dublin gangster. We kind of gave him a backstory from extreme poverty, which was true of Dublin at the turn of the century and all that. And sort of gave it a little bit of veracity that you kind of dig into, that was kind of instinctive for me rather than learned.
Okay.
So that's to be honest, that was kind of the decision. And I have to be honest with you, sometimes I felt, geez, I should have gone full Edward G. Robinson on this. I should have kind of, I would have loved to really buy. I just think I kept thinking I couldn't get him out of my head. And at times, even in the shooting, I'd say, I wonder if I should have been that kind of, classic American gangster. And I kind of thought maybe no, because like Nick was doing a lot of that stuff in terms of his stuff that he was doing. He was kind of buying into all that Cagney stuff and whatever, whoever he was accessing. It was just, and I said, well, maybe it's no harm to have a little bit of a different thing thrown in the mix there.
Well, I think you did it perfectly. I can't wait for everybody to see Spider Noir so I can freaking talk about it to people. Thank you, Brendan.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Kyle. Take care.
Have a great day.
You too.
Brendan Gleeson. Seriously, what a phenomenal actor. And I love hearing him talk about Spider Noir. Like, it's such a cool role. It's such a cool project. It's such a cool, everything about it I just freaking love. So it was cool to hear him talk about that. And in a superhero landscape where everybody's trying to top the end of the universe every year, it's kind of refreshing that, Spider Noir just kind of lives here. All right, we're going to take a quick break to pay the bills, but when we come back, Nicolas Cage joins me to talk Spider Noir, stepping into live action with this character, and so much more. Don't go anywhere. Be back in 60. Welcome back to Pop Culture Weekly. Thank you for supporting our sponsors who allow us to bring the show to you each and every week. All right, let's talk Nicolas Cage. Like, what else could be said about Nicolas Cage? At this point, he is his own genre. Whether you know him from Leaving Las Vegas, Mandy, Face Off, Longlegs, or like 9,000 other wildly different performances, Nicolas Cage is one of the most fascinating actors working today because you really don't know which version of Nicolas Cage you're about to get. The man can do action, horror, comedy, prestige drama, surrealism, full chaos gremlin energy, sometimes all in the same movie. He's an Academy Award winner and he's a national treasure, literally and figuratively. And Spider Noir feels perfect for him. Fans loved his performance in Into the Spider-Verse because he fully committed to the old school noir detective energy in a way that only Nicolas Cage could. And now he's bringing that same energy into the live action version. Here he is, the one and only Nicolas Cage.
Thank you so much, Nick, for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So first of all, congratulations on the series. I absolutely love it. And you have played so many iconic kind of larger than life characters throughout your career. But I feel like there's something especially perfect about you stepping into this kind of dark, pulpy Spider-Man universe. What was the thing about Spider Noir that hooked you into this?
I'm glad you brought that up because I can tell you that this is one of the rare times when a vision I had in my imagination manifested exactly as I had hoped it would. And it doesn't happen often. And I wasn't entirely sure it was going to get there until I finally saw all 8 episodes and I went, whew, and but it was scary. I had this concept, I like to take from other art forms, whether it's music or painting. I get an idea or a feeling or an aura or an essence. And I had done that with Warhol and Wild at Heart, what he would do with these icons like Elvis. And with Lichtenstein, Roy Lichtenstein specifically, I was always interested in how he had the guts to take the comic book style, the graphics of the comic, and transmogrified into a kind of pop fine art expression down to the little printing press pointillism. And I thought, well, what would that be like as an actor? What can I do where I can have a genuine emotional performance, but then coalesce it with or collide it with old style film acting, like a Howard Hawks, Big Sleep style, any of these actors that I liked so much growing up, Bogart or Cagney or Edward G. Robinson, and mash it with Stan Lee's masterpiece, Spider-Man. And what would that create? The hope was that it would create that kind of Liechtenstein electricity that would be unlike anything anyone would have thought about, before. And I wanted to do something brand new, and I knew it was not without risk, but it was worth it. It was worth going in and everybody was on board, which is amazing, that they had the guts and the trust and the love to allow me to find this fantasy of what could be done, especially with television.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's been executed perfectly. So kudos to you and the team for that. You first voiced, this version of the character into the Spider-Verse, which obviously myself and fans absolutely loved. What was the challenge, if any, for you to kind of, you're taking this character that was animated and then living fully in this real life world? Was there a challenge?
There were many challenges, and one of the challenges was I don't want to wear out my welcome. I'm doing this. I'm going to take that manner of speaking and that fast-paced kind of old world style of acting, and I'm going to do it for 8 episodes. And then how do you make that real? When you're playing a character that's as idiosyncratic as Ben Reilly, you also have the challenge of having genuine emotion and drama and comedy, informing the style. This is an extremely stylized performance to fit in the black and white format. I like watching it in black and white because I designed my performance to look like, hopefully transport you to that New York in another dimension, black and white style from the 30s. And I had a great director of photography, really lit it that way, and great wardrobe with Tracy. Everybody was on board with this idea of transporting you to another old world dimension. So the challenges were, how do you make that communicate authentically and emotionally?
And if you could just, fun for a moment, if you could pull any one Nicolas Cage character from any of the, films and universes that you've done into Spider Noir's, world as his maybe chaotic sidekick or whatever, who would you be choosing for that?
That's a remarkable question. I love it. Me, I'm always going to go for the counterpoint, right? I'm going to we call it the egg and the crutch, 2 things that don't go together, but you'd love to see what would happen. I'm going to go with Donald Kaufman from Adaptation, Charlie Kaufman's younger brother or twin brother. He's acting like the younger brother. I want to see Donald Kaufman and Ben Reilly in a scene together. I'm just laughing thinking about it. That's a great question.
That's amazing. Thank you, sir. Sure. I'm so excited for everybody to see Spider Noir. It is so great. Thank you for talking with me.
Thanks for having me.
Have a great day.
You too.
Nicolas Cage. Honestly, Spider Noir is like one of those perfect creative matches where the actor and the character collide in the perfect way. Like, it is perfect casting for Nicolas as Spider Noir. It is perfect casting for Brendan Gleeson as Silvermane. It really is such an awesome fresh, different show that I love. I really, really do love it. And I can't wait to see more from this series, hopefully. Hopefully there's more tales to tell here. Huge thanks to Nicolas Cage and Brendan Gleeson for joining me today on the show. All right, degenerates, that's it for this episode of Pop Culture Weekly. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. You can also watch the video interviews, reactions, deep dives, and all kinds of pop culture chaos over on our Pop Culture Weekly YouTube. And make sure you're signed up for the newsletter, where every week I break down what's coming out and all the other stuff that you need. As always, thank you so much for listening. And remember, somewhere out there, Nicolas Cage is dramatically staring out a rainy window in a fedora, talking about justice. And to be honest, good for him. I'll see you next time. I love ya. We out.
Thank you for listening to Pop Culture Weekly. Hear all the latest at popcultureweekly.com.
Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage.